Namaste everyone. Let me share the screen. All of you sit comfortably, back spine straight. Allow your mind and body to settle down. Check your spine. Roll your shoulders and relax your shoulders. Have a beautiful smile to your face and absolutely relax your facial area. Breathe in and breathe out. Let the tensions release. Watch your breath. Chant Om in your mind for a few rounds as you watch your breath. Namaskara Mudra at the heart center. 3 rounds of Om with Prarthana, slow and steady inhalations. Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratah chartheshvabhignyam swarat tene brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam Satyam param dhimahi Satchidananda rupaya Vishwotpatyadi hetave Tapatraya vinashaya Shri Krishnaya vayam namaha Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet tato jayamudirayet. Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone. Namaste. Let me start sharing the story. Meanwhile, Aarti, just do the summary.
So Devahuti and Kardama had a beautiful life. They had 9 girls. Devahuti, who was in the hold of worldly desires, initially, then after that, comes to realize her folly of being attached to worldly desires. And she asks Kardama for the boon of self-realization, because she knows anytime her husband's going to leave her. He had told her right at the beginning. And then he says, Lord Narayana will be born to us and he will give you the Brahma Vidya. She says, I'm afraid. There is a fear of letting go of this samsara. Then when the baby, when Narayana was in her womb, Kapila Muni was in her womb, she talks to Kardama and she is ready at that point in time in her, she is able to see what is the difference between worldly desires and vairagya and what is the advantage of that. She has evolved from there to the next place and her worldly desires have fallen off, yet it is a period of change. She is very afraid of that change. There is that fear of letting go of it completely, because, letting go of that means walking into the unknown. I don't know what it is like. If I let that go, that is something that I feel comfort in. I feel comfortable in it. I know what it is. In one sense, I know that it's over. It's not really good for me. I'm able to feel that. Yet there is this comfort of that being a known to walking into an unknown. And that is the fear of attachment most of all us literally seem to have. That is that strong attachment. We hold on to it because if I let go, I feel, where will I go? What will happen? That unknown seems to scare me, even though I know that's holding me back and not letting me evolve. And she realized that. And Kardama, but for Kardama, it was not a problem at all. He never held on strongly. Whatever he did as a sense of duty. So when Devahuti said, he asked for a boon and she asked for a very worldly boon. I want to live a regular samsaric life. And he says, so be it. And he goes with that samsara also as a sense of duty. And then when it was time, he knew when Narayana came and he was ready to go. He was not now saying, oh, Narayana is there as my baby. I want to enjoy this baby. None of that. He just knew it was his time to leave right now. And it just dropped off. Like that fruit, when it's completely ripe, it just falls from the tree. It just dropped off and he was ready to, walk off into sannyasa. And he says, this baby will teach you. This child of ours, this son of ours, who's called Kapila, will tell you the science of life, what it is. And Kapila starts. Devahuti asks her son, I want to know. And she asks it in such a very impressive way that Kapila Muni feels like he wants to start off. And he talks about, the Purusha. What is the Purusha? The Aham, the Mamakara, the Ahamkara, which holds us back, and the Purusha. And he starts off on all this conversation and starts giving the Brahma Vidya to Devahuti.
So we are continuing on this beautiful conversation between Devahuti and Kardama and Kapila. So as we finished this, I will find freedom. So Purusha, tell me about your nature. Purusha and Prakriti are both you. And if I learn about them, they say I will find freedom from the bondage of birth and deaths. Kapila's face was lit up by a smile of pure affection. and he looked at his mother. He said, I will tell you. In my opinion, there is only one yoga which will entirely destroy the pains and pleasures which are the resultants of samsara. I taught this yoga to the rishis of yore when they were eager to learn it. I will teach you the same yoga now. I will, however, make the lesson easier for you. Anyone can understand this path to salvation. So we read this also last time. Mother, it is the mind. We read this, but I want to read it a little bit more so that we have a continuation, which is the cause of bondage as well as freedom. Consider the mind when it gets involved in the three gunas. When there is an upset in the balance of the three gunas, then one of the gunas become predominant and the Atman gets involved in the play of the emotions. The mind turns away from the inner self and begins to be interested in the object of the senses. So last time we talked about the shopping, no? How the Atman and the shopping experience. It seeks gratification from them and it wanders farther and further away from the Atman. The same mind, if it is turned inwards, if it is attaches itself to the Purusha, the Lord, Ishvara, Narayana, then the same mind will be the cause of freedom of man from the coils of the senses. This path is called by the name Chitta Samyamana or Chitta Shuddhi, so many different names. And it is a first step towards the goal. When the feelings of I and mind disappear, the mind at once becomes free of kama, krodha, and other qualities. It becomes pure and it is fit enough to lead you to me. The pleasures of the world and the pains will not affect it anymore. When it is equipped with vairagya, detachment, or rather non-attachment, with bhakti, which is devotion to me, with jnana, which is knowledge of the truth about me, then the mind is able to perceive the Brahman. So we nicely finished this till here. So now it's a continuation. So shall I continue, Aarti?
Yeah, continue.
Of all the paths to me, mother, bhakti is the easiest and the surest. There is no other path which grants you freedom as quickly as the path of devotion. The wise say the Sangha, attachment, is the one imperishable quality which is inherent in man. When it is imperishable, when it is evergreen, without any possibility of getting destroyed, obviously it cannot be ignored. Mother, attachment is always there. The way to salvation is to use the same Sangha as an instrument, as a tool. Let the attachment be there by all means. Only do not feed it with the usual sense objects. Change the object of desire, of attachment. You have been attached to the things of the world. Now, let the attachment remain, but make the object different. In place of the worldly objects, substitute Narayana. Attachment to Narayana makes the ties to other things snap, and the way is easy. Such a very this whole thing itself is so beautifully, I think everyone would have understood. It's like instead of me carried away with all the object of the senses, let me completely be in touch with Narayana itself. It's like the mother and the calf. The calf is always holding on to the mother itself. The calf is not moving off here and there. Again, coming back to the calf is coming to the mother. So let my attachment, let my desire, let all my focus, my attention, everything is towards Narayana instead of the worldly objects. Bala. Both of you, anyone? I have prepared also regarding attachment. I was reading Swami Chinmayananda. Once you share your thoughts, I will put it on share screen.
I was going to share. See, I will just share. Can you let me share? See, we all have attachments to objects. Just to simply think about it, when I have this object, so I have a sweet. I like a sweet. I feel this sweet is giving me pleasure, and I eat that sweet. And I eat more of it, and I more of it, and I keep eating more of it. After a point in time, can I eat that? What happens? That itself becomes the cause of my pain. When I desire or crave for some object. So the objects, when I think it is the object that is giving me pleasure, one way to detach. And so I am so pulled by these objects. How can I detach from it? I feel that that object gives me pleasure. Now, why should I turn away? Can be one of the things. But these objects actually are only giving me short-term pleasure and not the long-term pleasure. If I realize that, because the pleasure is not in the object, the pleasure is in me. I am attaching the pleasure to that object, to the sweet. And after some time, I am only despising that sweet. So everything that I perceive in the world, so first level in the body, through my sense organs, I am watching things in the world, all the objects in the world. I like people, I like situations, I like this destination, I like this food. All of these objects I'm having so much attachment to. And this is the outside. Then I start having attachment. There are 3 levels. One of the other attachment is to my own thoughts and feelings and my beliefs. I may be feeling, there are people, some of us keep complaining. Somewhere we start enjoying that complaining itself. I get attached to that. It becomes like enjoying, in the sense I start, everywhere I go, I just talk about that. And somebody else also talks about that. I feel consolation. Yeah, this is how. In a way, dwelling and getting attached to my own feelings and my own thoughts. An example of that can be, if I say I'm an emotional person, then I can keep feeling, this person has no emotion, does not get it, just like on solid rock, does not even talk anything. I keep talking, but then this person does not respond. And after some time, it starts growing. How can people be like that? What is wrong with them? And it starts growing and growing, because my reflection, my need of my emotion is not being catered by the other. And then if the other person is an intellectual person, they will feel, all this drama these people, these emotional people keep making, because they are with their own intellect and they are feeling, oh, I am higher in a way. And they for them, they are not able, they're not saying, okay, I am not such an emotional person. It's hard for me to, no. But now they will say all these people are so much drama. Okay, so basically, in a way, what we are doing is we are reveling in our own emotion and we are projecting it on the world. What we are, I am an emotional person. I think everybody should be emotional. And if somebody does not fit into that category of what is my worldview and image of myself, then I am flustered. But I won't say I am flustered. I will say somebody else is wrong. That person is not like that. So instead of saying I am flustered, I'll say that person is wrong. So in a way, I am so attached to my objects, I'm to the objects outside, I say that person without realizing that it is actually my own feeling which is making the superimposition on the world. And because of all of these things, I am attached, and all these samsaric typical ups and downs keep happening within me, because it is the body, all of these feelings and thoughts and objects perceiving all happen within my body, mind, in the intellect, which is this part of me is my ego, my small ego, the small I. I call myself I. When I say I am looking at this. But in reality, it is only the Supreme Conscious Bhagavan who is shining through me like that light. That is why I am even able to function in this world, which I forget. And the real higher self or higher supreme reality within me is the Supreme Consciousness. So what Kapila Muni is telling is, your attachment is here. Stop this. All you have to do is, it is very difficult to say don't have any attachment. So detach from the small ego. To detach from the small ego, very simple, attach to Narayana. Then this will automatically fall off like that fruit. It will start reducing. You wanted to share something. Hope this was clear.
Very nice. Actually, I'm remembering, maybe we will see that when we come to the 10th skandam, but we can also, Krishna's thing, always we can look at it many times, right? So when Krishna is born in the jail, right, to Vasudeva and Devaki, okay, he is first born with the Shankha Chakra and 4. He gives darshan as Bhagavan Mahavishnu himself to Devaki and Vasudeva. Okay, and the teaching starts right there. The moment he is born, Krishna starts the teaching. So it is so apt here. So Krishna says, to both of them. So you have been, they were the Aditi and I think Vrishni and all that, right? Sutapa, right? In the previous births. So Krishna says, you wished for, Mahavishnu himself to be born as your son. So I am born here. Okay. The reason that you both are, they were great jivas, right? Vasudeva and Devaki. So the reason that they were still not liberated is that there is still that attachment with the family, that probably there's a last attachment. I don't know. He says, with the, because you did not ask that I want you, Bhagavan. You asked, oh, Bhagavan, can you be born as my son? So that little thing is there, right? They are not. So Krishna says, so I'm fulfilling. So Bhagavan is fulfilling whatever we want, right? So he fulfills, he is born, and now the first Upadesha starts. That moment he is born, as a imagine the baby is born with Shankha Chakra and 4 hands, and Mahavishnu is there giving Upadesha to Vasudeva and Devaki in jail. So he says the same thing. Attachments, all these attachments are needed. Okay. Yes, you look at me as your son. At the same time, remember who is functioning through this instrument. Okay. You look at all your attachments like that. Okay. But who is the real doer? Who is actually functioning through that instrument? That is what we saw, right? That ego, B-M-I. So I am this instrument here, but who is talking through this instrument? Connect to that. Divine is the only one, because we say mukam karo. So that is what Bhagavan says. He says, so attached to that. Don't get attached to the instrument. Don't see the instrument doing it. Okay, the actual doer is that divine which is working through these. So use the same attachment which is right now binding you. Use the same attachment to liberate. Okay, that is why they say Maya Shakti is there for us, that only through Maya Shakti we can get liberated also. That is, it's the same thing once we start looking at that as an instrument. But when we, it is useful at the functional level. Yes, at the functional level, yes, right now, hands, legs, whatever, my thoughts, intellect to function, it is needed in this world. Okay, that's it. But who is actually at the spiritual level, we all are one. So can be connected to that, use the same attachment to liberate. So that is the first thing that Bhagavan says to Vasudeva and Devaki. And we can, I think, apply it in every relationship. I think the first step is to first apply it for ourselves. I think that's when the more I am at the level of my body, I see, oh, that yellow kurta is nice, blue kurta is nice, there is gray hair, there is white hair, whatever. When the moment I move a little at the mind level, now I'm starting to judge. Okay, emotional level, when I am at that emotional level, I also see everything at that level. Yes, I perceive the world. When I'm at that intellect level, I perceive everything at that level. Similarly, at Bhagavan's level, it is very beautiful to see when just things are happening and working through the instruments. For that, we first need to connect to that Antaryaman within. Only then we see the Antaryaman functioning throughout. So that is what, that's a beautiful Upadesha that Bhagavan himself gives to Vasudeva and Devaki.
So here I was remembering Swami Chinmayanandaji's one example he gave. So suddenly when you said as hands and legs instrument, I was just thinking, it seems one person came to Swamiji and told him that, see Swamiji, I'm doing lots of work. So much of work, I feel always highly fatigued and exhausted. So I'm carrying so many responsibilities you cannot even imagine, Swamiji. So I don't know why I'm feeling so exhausted and fatigued, even to come to this satsang itself. Actually, my wife had to push me, so I have come here. So Swamiji immediately told him, come with me. So come with me, and he took him to a room. And there were two clocks, it seems. So one clock, he said, see this clock, you have to wind it. Okay, every 2 hours, you need to wind it so that the clock starts working. The another clock is actually connected to a power source. But this man did not understand why I am telling about fatigue and exhausted, and Swamiji is showing me 2 clocks. So then he said, why are you showing me these 2 clocks? Then he beautifully said, see, this clock here, this winding clock, you have to make sure that you have to come here, and you think that because you are having the responsibility on doing, the clock has to keep winding itself. And for 2 hours, it feels exhausted, it dies down, and you have to wind it to start working. But the another clock is always having a kind of a power which is coming from the source. From that power, it comes from the source. The clock, the hands and the leg of the clock, the dials of the clock is working beautifully without, it's like a flow. So will that clock be exhausted, or this clock be exhausted? And immediately this man understood that. And then he said, Swamiji, always feel the presence of the divine through you, and then do your work. Then the exhaustion or the fatigue will never happen, because the fatigue happens when you start thinking that I am doing. The moment you think that the divine is there through me, I am an instrument and I am doing, this work is done because of the grace of the divine. I know nothing, I am nothing, I can do nothing. The same standard, very beautifully he talks about. Then there is no exhaustion, my dear boy, he said like that. And so that was a very, it just really touched me. I just came across the story.
Very nice.
Even in living life, I was just thinking, see, I was just watching, I think our foreign minister, external affairs minister, Jaishankar, has written a book, and I was just reading some parts of it where he's talking about the prime minister. And I wonder how it's even possible. He says there are days when he sleeps only 4 hours at night, and he has traveled across 6 countries in 6 days. Oh, and in each day it's packed. There was one day especially, say you say 24 hours minus 4. So in 20 hours, there were 18 meetings, cabinet meetings with people. So imagine, and what age? We are nearly 70 over, or more than 70, in fact, right? So what is the difference? And some of us, we just do a little bit and we feel so drained, because when I think I am the doer, the more, especially, you know what, there are some high leak points. When I start thinking, I have to do this. Ayyo, how will I do all this? Immediately energy full down. When I think that, when that emotion and everything gets mixed with that, no, because there is this big thing about I have to do all of this, like what Prabha was telling, no. But instead, when we just write things down, I'm just getting to the practical aspect of it. Say I just have a list of things that have to be done for the day. And as it happens, tick, 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 then next. No emotion, nothing. I'm just performing my duties. Like a clock. Like that clock goes, no? Tick, 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 tick. You just go. Next. Tick it and keep doing your work. There is just so much more efficiency, because at that point in time, that small ego, first of all, is not pulling you down. Now, on top of this, if we are in touch with that higher source and saying, that is like one extra boost energy. It's like working just with that higher source, because and connected with that bigger plugger, that power supply is always, it is in fact always flowing through us. He is flowing through us. He is the one illumining us. But now if I can revel in him through the day, then it is like an extra charge as we are performing all our duties through the day. Yeah, expectation. Yes, all of that expectation, where does it come from? It comes from our small ego, our small I, not from the greater self. The greater self is not asking for anything, just to revel in him. That's all.
Ma'am, can I?
Expectation.
One
Yes,
small
yes.
experience. I need help here, ma'am. What happened is one small thing that in our street, we had one person from army who got martyred in a 1965 war with Pakistan. So we didn't know. We are staying since so many years. Nobody knew. That person's son is now 70 plus years. When I was talking to him, uncle, like this and all, he said, my father got martyred in 1965 war. I was like shocked. Yen uncle, ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, all that it happened. Then that person's wife I had seen when my children were small. That lady, when I had seen that lady, she looked like as if mentally retarded lady, something very different. I was thinking, why this lady is like this. Later, when I heard her son telling that he lost his father when he was 8 years in Pakistan war and all, then it took me so much time to come. What all I was thinking about that lady, she was mentally this thing and all. How much pain she could have underwent when she lost her husband and all. I was thinking, see how we will think. Then I kept on working on why, how she would have felt. What did nobody knew about this? This person gave his life for our this country, and nobody knew about something. I have to do something. I have to do. Then suddenly, I usually sit exactly meditation. I don't know. Just close my eyes and sit every day in the morning for 10 to 15 minutes. Then I just suddenly it struck my mind. Why can't we name this street on his name? So then I went and discussed with that uncle. Uncle, ನಿಮ್ ತಂದೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ರಿಫೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹೆಸರು. ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ನಾವೇ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ, ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ. ದೆನ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂಕಲ್, ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ದೆನ್ ಐ wrote a letter, I gave to that corporator. All those things happened. Now 50% work is done. And then almost I can say 80% work is done. It's just 20%. Till then, I didn't tell anybody, and I was okay. Like when everything was getting, I was feeling very happy. And I told to a few people, like my brothers or my own family members. And they all started praising me. Oh, how much? How did you get that thought? How did you do this? And then you knew you could make that letter, you could connect with those people. These are all very big things. How did this happen? Wow, you did that, you did this. And then you changed the whole scenario in that street. Everybody. Then somewhere, I kept on telling them, hey, see, if I want to do all these things will not happen. Maybe he used me. He wanted this to happen. He has chosen me. All that I was telling. But inside somewhere I thought, I have somewhere I'm thinking great about myself. Then this happened for 3-4 days. Then 5th day, something, that letter had to be given to some MLA, something that got fully pending and stopped. Then, suddenly I sat, I am thinking, everything happened at this point of time. I got recommendation letter from Tejasvi Surya. All that happened. this point, exactly where that crucial point, this whole thing has stopped. Somewhere I'm feeling maybe I became very egoistic inside. And then that guilt, maybe this, how to come out of this? Is this really a guilt? Or did really I become egoistic? Or whatever I was telling to others, like, no, it is not me who did, everything happened. Was that real? I don't know. I'm analyzing myself. I need, when you said same topic today discussion, I'm thinking maybe to clarify this discussion, no, this chapter has, I mean, like this link. Otherwise, last week also I could not attend because I was not in station. And today also we had a puja in temple, that Kartika Deepam, Shiva Kirtika Deepam. Today in a Shiva temple, all my family members, they will meet. Today, I had to go to the temple. My brother called me around 6 and he said, program is not happening because of some issue there. I don't think it will be ideal to come. So that program got cancelled and I connected with this. So I'm feeling maybe that big program, it has never got cancelled. Today it got cancelled and now I'm remaining at home and I could connect to this Bhagavatam session. And maybe this clarification, because everything has been made to give me this clarification.
Thank
because
you.
it has continuously running in my mind.
Yeah. So sometimes
Thank
it
you.
also requires courage for a seeker to tell openly, accept it that yes, it has been my ego trip. Ego trip has happened to me, and I really appreciate that courageousness, because one of the most important quality which is required is to have the courage to see one's own faults, and also to recognize it, and to observe it is coming into my mind, and to have the receptivity to the grace to receive what all learnings we are having in this class, to apply it, because that requires courage, and really appreciate, because that is what you narrated seem to be very apt here. So when I cover some slides also would give you more clarity, and you've already got clarity, looks like. So this session is only going to give you more understanding of yourself, looks like. Yes, Bala.
I have just a small thing to share. It was so beautiful to listen to the entire, so the entire incident, just put Sutradhar as Krishna, how nicely he has done it, right? So the thought that came in your mind and the things are working, and somewhere a small thing, some learning he has for you. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru, he is the Guru of all of us. So some learning maybe. One thing here that came to my mind right now as I was listening is the same thing. See, what did Bhagavan say? Use the same attachment that is attached to the world, turn it towards me. Okay. So somewhere now he has also given that indication that, oh, I'm attaching to this BMI, body, mind, intellect of mine. I think I have done it. He has given that. Okay. No point in guilt or anything. So now turn that same thing now to him. Oh, okay. I am an instrument chosen by you. We can be egoistic with God. That is what he says. I am your dear child. Yes, Bhagavan in the final thing says to Arjuna, Arjuna, I told you all this because you are my very dear student. Okay, so turn the same ego, be very egoistic with him. Be very egoistic with the self, no problem. Okay, that means we are surrendering to him. We are, completely dissolving in him. Oh, I am your chosen child. So make me do things as you want. Don't give me these obstacles and interruptions. Don't make me think I am doing it. Just like how a child talks to this works very well for me. So I just thought I will share that.
Very beautiful, Bala.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Maybe I'll try to do that. Keep talking those things, whatever you told to myself. Maybe that works.
No, maybe and all. Shraddha, it works. And not to yourself, meaning, yes, the inner, inner self of yours.
Thank you. No, thank you.
So are you able to see this blank screen?
Yes.
So this is one thing which I was just reading today by Swami Chinmayananda's book on quotes. And it was a very beautiful chapter on bondage. And what we are also reading it all is all about attachment is an attachment and a bondage. So he just put pointers here, and he has given 2-3 beautiful examples also. So here very beautifully it seems one person came to Swamiji. And the Swami, he said, I'm surrounded with so many things, with riches. I have so many possessions. And I feel so scared that I have so much of possession, my life is going to be in misery. So Swamiji again laughed, it seems. And then he said, so then what will happen to me? Because he was actually having the biggest, Chinmaya mission was having a lot of centers and everything. So that time he very beautifully says that you have these things, you have possessions, but possessions don't bind us. That is, their mental slavery is basically your attachment to these possessions. That is leading to the bondage. So you might be filled with hundreds of items in your home. There are maybe riches. You're bestowed with riches. You're bestowed with intelligence. You're possessing intelligence. You're possessing riches. You're possessing good health. So when you're possessing, it's not, but your attachment to the body, you're attaching yourself that I've got a wonderful body. I have got a very beautiful face. You're attaching to the thought process that I'm extremely intelligent or I am very, very efficient and all that. So all that attachment leads to bondage. And next point he covered is greater the attachment, greater the bondage. So here he gave a very fun story here. There is what is the story? Yeah. So there was one old man, and there was this old man, and suddenly one day he just came back from work and he finds his house on fire. Okay. And he was so upset about it that my house is on fire. Oh, my house is on fire. My house is on fire. So what will I do? So much of money is gone wasted. He was absolutely devastated. And then suddenly, and he was so devastated. So many people were all there. They were all watching the fire. Sometimes you just someone watch, people, there were a lot of people coming and watching, but they were all just watching. And here you can see him in tears and crying and screaming and all that. My money gone, my hard-earned money, so many these thoughts. And suddenly we had 3 sons. The one son ran and said, Appa, why are you so upset? You know what? What happened? We were thinking of selling this house, That person took the house, bought the house. Now we have got 3 times more amount now. Papa, such a good news. Suddenly, he realized, this is not my house at all. Suddenly, all the tears, everything escaped. And he just looked there, and Swamiji writes, there he was a silent watcher now. He was just watching the house on fire. It was not watching my house on fire. So it was a beautiful twist in the story there. So then immediately you could see this old man just watching the house on fire. And another second son came, ran, and Appa, what? That person promised that he will give 3 times the amount, but he has given only the advance amount. We still have so much amount. Immediately again the man was in tears. Oh, my house, my money, again back to square one, again crying, again tears, because it is my money, my house. Now my house is on fire, my money did not come. And again he was crying. The third son ran and came. The third son said, Appa, you know what? The owner told, whether the house is burnt or dead or whatever it is, I'm anyway going to give the money because I want this plot, this thing. Immediately, again, the old man changed. Again, there were no tears. He was fully in joy. So finally, the object is there, the house is there, but the tagline of my was the cause of misery. So that is where you will say the greater the bondage, the greater the attachment towards that thing, the greater we feel that we are bounded. It's like a bird which is there, which is having a shadow of a cage. So it feels as if it is bound, but actually it is only the shadow of the cage. And it thinks that I can't fly, I can't fly, I can't fly. But finally what it is thinking that I am bounded. I am actually bounded. I am there. but the more you freer you are, the more you can fly. So this is a very fun story which he mentioned. The another which he was talking about is greater the attachment, greater the fear. So more attachment is, that is what here he mentioned the example of parents. A simple example he mentioned about parents worried about examinations. So the parents worried about the child's future. Parents worried about what will my child do when they grow up. The parents worried about how will nowadays younger generation are like this. Now what will happen to my child? So he gave a lot of examples. But I think from that also, or we could have other examples also, that how when we are attached to something, then there is a fear. Somewhere fear, somewhere worry. I think, remember, somebody posted a very beautiful contrast between what is worry and what is concern. Worry is, I think Parvati or someone, right? It was such a beautiful contrast. That is, what is the difference between I am concerned about you or I am worried about you? There is a huge difference there. So when I am worried, there is so much of attachment, there is so much of misery, there is fear in the deep sector of my mind, which is resulting in agitations and sufferings. Or I am concerned about the welfare of my daughter going all alone in the road. I am concerned that she is not studied and maybe how is she going to be doing her exams? Or I'm absolutely worried, how is this useless girl going to be doing? So many different ways we talk, right? Greater the attachment, greater the delusion. That is also very beautifully he said, that the more attachment we are into some things, the more we are not able to see things as it is. Like example of Jyoti, it says so beautifully that seeing that person as they are. But because we are attached to our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own opinions. So it is very difficult to see the things in another way. So again, he talks about in office, how in teams, he gives beautiful examples that we are so caught up in our own thoughts and opinions. So it is very difficult for the other person to understand what is the other side. And there is more of delusion, there is more of a lot of thoughts in the head. We assume things, a lot of assumptions. Greater the attachment, greater the negativities in the mind. So as we know, this is a very clear-cut understanding that how there is more attachment, then we are too so attached, then this is where all the kama, krodha, lobha, so many of these things comes. And this is where we need to keep being aware. And sometimes we compromise because we give importance to our own thoughts in the mind, our own attachments. So sometimes we compromise on the dharma and the adharma, the compromise on the right decisions in life. So here he gives a very beautiful example of Harishchandra, right? That is the contrast I'm talking, how very beautifully he faces so many important situations in life, but he never compromises because he was absolutely detached. The Vishwamitra said, you give me my kingdom, gave the kingdom. You give me this, do this. So I want you to ensure that you give this money. He was willing to sell his family, his wife, his children. He was even willing to sell himself. So there was no even attachment to himself, to his own family, to his kingdom, to his wealth, nothing. So there was no negativity also in the mind. There was not even one stage in his story you will find that there is frustration or anger or this thing. That is the beautiful story of yesterday. I was reading that to my son, that the story of even his wife Taramati, where so many areas where she is really into situations where she could get angry. Vishwamitra sent one person from his side called Nakshatraka, and Nakshatraka was told to keep irritating them. So keep irritating them and giving them obstacles. Every time he used to take rest stops, he used to say, I want food, give me more food, give me this, give me that. There was not even once, it seems, Taramati or the son or Harishchandra, neither complained, neither said that I am having less food. No, there was no complaint. There was nothing. They was just taking with the flow. So that was the greatness. So we could get inspired by such personalities, right? Somebody was saying, I cannot be like Harishchandra Prabha. We are not telling you to be like Harishchandra. Getting inspiration from such personalities is what is so important, like that.
And even understanding what that no attachment means. To say when there are no complaints at all, then only when there is attachment, there is some complaint. Only when there is attachment, there is expectation.
Yeah. Here you want to, before I move on, both of you want to share anything in this?
I was just thinking of this, many of our complaints or whatever, even in Jyoti's case, whatever. See, initially, maybe we didn't have any expectation at all. We were just going with the flow. Chalo dal ke dekhte hain, let me send the letters. And once it reached a certain level, what happens is our hopes start rising. With our hopes comes an expectation, right? And when that expectation, if it has come, I'm just thinking in my, just taking that as an example. It is possible, right? When it has come to some level, then your hopes go up and you say, okay, now expectation sets in. And then when it does not happen, disappointment also sets in. So that expectation and disappointment is somewhere a sign of attachment to the ego. For us, just to be guided.
I think that expectation, even today, I was just talking to one person, and the expectation to get a reply from someone. When you post a message, there is an attachment that I have to get a reply. And when there is no reply, there is a deep sense of agitation coming from within. The person was mentioning how it disturbs. That this particular person did not respond, this particular person responded. So I think that also happens with our social media also. When a picture is posted, I remember youngsters telling me that, you know what, she liked it, but she did not like it. So that means she does not like my post. See, how jealous is she? So where is our attachment? So much of attachment is moving towards that, not about my just sharing my post or sharing my life, what I have done, but the attachment is towards how people are responding, how people are writing, how people are giving thumbs up or praising you or acknowledging you, or how people are replying or not replying. So again, that expectation brings misery. So each time, it's very important, like how Jyoti very beautifully was courageous to understand the ego trip of her mind. It's very important for us to keep understanding our ego trips, and immediately, like Bala beautifully says, completely turn to Narayana or Krishna, whomever is your Ishta Devata, like that. So this is where, again, he went very nicely, called greater the attachment, narrower the vision. So here, I think he gave the example of parents watching their child in the annual day event. So he said, it will be a very group dance of your child doing. Okay, but where is your camera focused? Your camera is focused only on your child. The child. So he said, actually the drama was a court of a Raja, the Raja Sabha. So the Raja is there, the Rani is there, the militants, but your child is acting as a Senapati. Oh, so the camera is focused only on the Senadipati. That's it, not on the entire thing, because that is our attachment is only to our child, my child performing. So this is, how beautifully says Gurudevji writes, right? So he writes, so how is my vision? More attachment, more narrower is my vision, more focused is my vision in these areas. So how can I expand? So then greater the attachment, greater the helplessness. This is where he talks about the addicts. Addict means it need not be an alcoholic addict or a drug addict. Simple addiction is simple coffee and tea. So that also could be or even a sweet after your meals. So it could be sometimes there is a sense of helplessness which comes, that you know what, I'm so attached to it, I'm really not able to come out of it. So sometimes we're recognizing it but not able to do. Also, in that way we need the grace of the divine, so that you move from the helplessness to a kind of a place where you become empowered. It's like how Draupadi was, her dress was, her clothes were getting disrobed. So the more, if she had been attached to her cloth, holding on to it, there is no point, because Dushasana is extremely strong there. There is a point where she was so helpless. Her surrendering to the divine is where beautifully, changed the whole situation itself, right? So that is where he talks about greater the attachment, greater the malfunctioning of the intellect. Very, very clear example of Dhritarashtra, which we all know, how in front of his eyes, his son was doing all kinds of wrong things, even inviting the Pandavas to the court, to the Sabha for the dice game itself. He knew what is the plan of plan of Duryodhana and Shakuni, but still his intellect was malfunctioned because of his attachment towards his son. So, and greater the attachment, greater the inability to learn and evolve. So again, he very beautifully says that when we are so attached to our own learnings, it is very difficult for that person to unlearn some things and then grow. So you were saying, so how a student also gets so attached to their own beliefs that this is Newton's law of motion, nothing beyond that. Such people cannot be inventors, such people cannot be scientists, because they are never detached. They go do out of the box. For them, they are not attached to any thoughts. So they just think out of the box. They're able to learn, they're able to evolve, they learn from their mistakes. They are not attached to their own decisions or their own faults. They're not attached to everyone else's faults, but they're able to observe, detect, and then learn and evolve. So when we are released from that attachment, it helps us to evolve. And that is how we get relieved from the slavery, because it becomes like a helpless puppet. We keep telling, no, I'm like a puppet because I'm helpless. I can't do anything. I'm put in this situation. But yes, we can come out of the situation by releasing all the attachments we have got. And that is where the last, which Aarti beautifully covered it, which gives, I'm sure now you could understand it very well. Greater the attachment, greater the ignorance to the self, because we keep identifying with our body, mind, intellect. All our identification is into that. So all our attachment into that. And finally, we don't see who is there, what is in me, who is there in me, we don't realize the Atman. So I think that's right. Oh yeah, done. So
okay, that was very beautiful. That helpless puppet, I like that word. See, attachment, as we went through every point, everything is bondage. So we can visualize ourselves with so many ropes, tied around us. We have only tied it around us because of our own attachment, So if in the puppet show, what has happened, we have just jumped however we want, and all the strings have just tied us. So it becomes like totally helpless. I can't even do the puppet show. It is like that, right? The puppet cannot do the role. The intellect is gone. The puppet, for whatever role I have come here, that also becomes inhibited if all this, can you hear me? Okay, suddenly everything froze. So I was imagining that completely puppet, with all the strings around it and tied. So it becomes a helpless puppet. It can't even be moved by the puppeteer. It becomes like that, so attached to. So that is where I think in Sundarakand, I don't know, somewhere, I'm not remembering where beautifully, I think Hanumanji says, or I don't remember. I just remember this concept. So visualize. When we are so attached, there is so much agitation. We all have our own attachments, and, so just close your eyes, visualize completely all the ropes that are binding me. Every rope, imagine from, it is all coming from that emotional seat, right? So from my heart to maybe my children, from my heart to my own thoughts, beliefs, intellects, from my heart, everything. Okay, it is all going and it is all entangled. Okay, so what he was saying is, put everything from there, let it come to your heart, and from there put a rope, one single rope, which goes to his feet. Visualize one single rope that is going to his feet. So once he starts dancing the Kalinga Nardana, what happens? All our ropes get disentangled. You know, that through life lessons, he teaches us, like what, I don't know, again, I'm quoting what Jyotiji, see, all of us have such life lessons. It is very beautiful to come to that level and see what has happened in my life as a lesson, right? Like what Prabha said, yes, okay, I have gone on an ego trip. So that itself takes a lot of reflection. And so all of us get these lessons. So these are our Krishna dancing on our Kalinga. Every time our hood rises, he puts one and it comes down. And there is the thread also, which is weakened. The knots that are there, that's why he says, only I can remove it. Okay, I do not know where it is started. It could be Janma Janma. It could be thousands of things that is there in my mind. Will I be able to now, because we saw all this, oh, greater the bondage, greater the attachment. Now, how do I come out of this attachment? Intellectually, is it possible? To an extent, contemplation, reflection may help. But finally, when we surrender to his feet, he takes it out very nicely. Yes, that is where we are. Yes. That is why suffering, only that, you know, when we are not forgetting that, that's the nature's way of bringing us back to Bhagavan. Suffer, suffer, suffer. At one point in time, that break point, we say, no, the breaking point. It depends on where we all have that breaking point. That's all. So until the breaking point, he keeps hitting us. So until that breaking, see, one small thing, I'm sorry, I'm just getting a lot of things. It is just naturally for us to go back to Bhagavan. Be it Bhagavan, be it self, call whatever you want. Atman. Okay. So, because we are naturally that. Just like how water naturally flows down, right? Because of gravity. Just like everything just falls. It is natural. So, water trying to move against gravity is a lot of effort. Okay. And it will suffer. Like that, when we all are naturally that, and we all are constantly striving, the life force itself is striving to get back to our natural self. Okay, when there is a lot, that is why we call, that is the Guru Tattva. So what it happens is, every time there is a lesson, there is a hit that happens in my life, it is an effort from that natural self saying that, hey, I am here, come back to my natural self. Okay, so when it is like, you know, water just flowing, looking at the rock, maybe trying to go up, it is going to suffer. But it will flow down only because of gravity. Like that, there is a pull to this being in the natural self all the time, being established in Krishna or whatever. That pull is always there. Whenever we go away, a hit from Bhagavan is given to us, so that we get back to our natural self. So it depends individually where our breaking point is. And it is our choice also to see how much I am suffering. If I just put everything at his feet, I think.
दुख में सुमिरन सब करे, सुख में करे न कोई, जो सुख में सुमिरन करे तो दुख काहे होई.
Beautiful.
All, whatever Harini said, when in sorrow, we all remember. If in the first sorrow, maybe it can be a reminder for me to remember him even in happiness. It's easier to put it at his feet when I want to put it at his feet because I don't want to take responsibility for coming out of my sorrow sometimes. It's easier to put it at his feet. It's not.
That is not putting at his feet.
That is not putting it at his feet. It is putting the sorrow at his feet. It is not asking him to get you out of it. See, that's one thing. It's about being and reveling and knowing that only he is doing this in sorrow or in happiness. Whatever he is doing, I am completely accepting it with grace. I am not looking at it as sorrow or as happiness at all. I am just looking at it as one station that I have stopped on right now. And I am just going on this journey. It is neither, this is just a station of learning, something for me to learn, take and go. It is neither sorrow nor even the whole idea of sorrow and happiness is in my own mind of a situation. It is what I make of it. How it turns for me. It is my attachment to my very strong, my ego, which makes it, if it goes in a certain direction, for me, that is happiness. If it does not go in that way, it is sadness. So where is the sadness? It's the sadness, and grief and happiness is also a state of my mind. It's not a state of reality. The situation just is as it is. So then sukha dukkha is my own classification of a situation. Maybe once I move out of that situation, I can look back and say, wow, great, God gave me this, and this taught me this, and I'm very, very happy about it. Sometimes when we are in the midst of it, maybe we can't see it, but at some point in time. So let us understand one thing here. My capacity is extremely limited, whether if I'm attached to my body, mind, and intellect. Right? I can see only Vibgyor colors. But there is so much more in the white light. There are UV rays, there are microwave rays, there's probably so much more which I don't even know, which science has yet not discovered. What I hear is also so limited. My whole life, how much am I seeing? Just look at Google. In Google, there is so much data, but I know only to access this much. Because my mind is limited. I know only this much to go and, okay, I will go and search, but some other person is going, and his limitedness, that is also there in Google. Somebody else's limitedness, they are also going, but they are looking at something completely different from what I am looking. Like that, Google is so vast, it is so much big. I'm just giving an example of the vastness. It's not like Google is God or anything. But like that, the universe, imagine the plants, everything, just look at the whole thing, how much is happening in the universe. Am I making it happen? Am I making the trees breathe out so that I can breathe in? Am I even making myself breathe in and breathe out that air? Am I saying now choose the oxygen to go in and choose the carbon dioxide to come out? Am I even doing that? It is just happening in my life. Who is doing it? Who is the designer of the whole thing? So if we put everything in his feet, imagine how much more, like that gravity, we will just be coming in without unnecessarily putting all my blocks of ego, which is stopping that flow of gravity in between. Like that ball is falling, we are like that falling ball, and the deflection, tick, it is going away somewhere. Instead of having a nice smooth flow down to the ground. Let us understand that so much is happening, and why am I taking so much responsibility? Let me just accept, when everything is happening in my life, this is also whatever I have termed as sorrow or happiness is also just a happening in my life, which I have termed as sorrow, as this thing, or whatever my expectation of. It's because my expectation was my life should be like this. It's not gone like that. So I am feeling it is a sorrow. In fact, just like this breathing of the air, the functioning of oxygen, which I have no choice over, like this is also, I mean, it's just happening. It's beautiful. It's his giving, it's his grace. Just accept it.
Yeah. See, coming back to surrender. So like what Aarti said, I think every time I think I am suffering, it is my ego which is telling me. Every time I think I am very happy, it is the same ego which is telling me. So we need to, that is why Bhagavan says, Mayarpita Mano Buddhi. Okay, as the state of my mind, I put it at his feet. As, oh, my mind is extremely disturbed. This is what you have given me, I'm putting you at your feet. He will give us the That's why Kunti talks about Titiksha. He will give us the strength to go through what is needed. What is needed, I don't know. What is the result? I don't know. Who am I to know? I am not even there, actually. So my intellect, I am going through the suffering. I am having pain. Yes, I am going through this. Accept, yes, we all have painful moments in life. Yes, I am going through this. I see my near and dear ones suffering. Yes, sometimes I am so connected to Bhagwan, but when I see others or so agitated, that again pulls me down. That again is my ego. Yes, put at his feet. He knows. He is the one who is protecting everybody. So he is the one who is, today it was very beautiful. See, we say that from the Nabhi of Narayana, Brahma comes. And from there, everything is created, isn't it? So that's why we call him maybe Bhagwan himself as mother, because that this Nabi, this umbilical cord, is the connection between the child and the mother also. See how beautifully in everything in nature, he reminds us. Yes. So from Bhagwan, every creation has come. So he's telling us, see, this is how it is. The mother-child relationship is also from that Nabi. Right? So we all are in him. So the mother, when the child is in the mother, it is mother's responsibility to nourish the child, to protect the child. Similarly, we all are in him. So he is nourishing each and every jiva just like me and you. Yes, okay, because of my state of mind, I am suffering. I feel I am suffering. Okay, accept that. Put at his feet. He will give the strength to go through that. I think my ego, as long as this little I, do not come in, that brings a huge difference. We have to try it out, not to intellectualize everything, I think, because it is not possible. We cannot intellectualize it. So we need to try it out, put at his feet even my state of mind. I am suffering. Then strength comes. Hold on to him. That's all we can do. Yeah, I think we are. Okay, let's close this session. Remembering, just close your eyes. Let us feel the presence of Bhagwan in each one of us. Just like how a child is in the womb of a mother, always protected by the mother, nourished by the mother, whether the child knows or not. We all are in his womb. He is the Hiranyagarbha. We all are in his womb, protected by him, nourished by him, naturally. Let us feed this thought. Let us pray that this becomes our experience. Om Namo Narayanaya. 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 Om Asato ma Satgamaya, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. Harihi Om. Go down with an absolute sense of surrender. Thank you so much.